Hannah, when are you going to be quitting that job of yours?
What's that? Hello, Sandy. Why are you asking me when I'll quit my job?
I'm sure you're just working that job so that you have enough money to spend all you want on fancy things, right?
Not really. I'm just working because I want to save money for the future, and I also happen to really like the kind of work I do.
But it's not okay for a woman like you to be working, so quit that job at once.
It's not okay for a woman like me? Right now is the best time for my husband and I to both be working at the same time. I'm not saying that I don't want to become a housewife at some point, but Robin and I both talked about this before we got married, and we decided it would be best that we both work full-time jobs so that we have enough money for the future. That's why at this point in time, it's not an option for me to be quitting my job.
Hannah, listen to me. The way you're speaking to me right there is really showing me how self-centered you really are deep down.
Self-centered?
Do you have a problem with the money your husband is making, and that's why you're choosing to work still?
I never said I had any issues with his income.
Well, then please quit that job. Quit that job right now and become his housewife.
I cannot do that right now.
If you go against my word here, you are making yourself look worse and worse.
So you're telling me the only way to look good as Robin's wife is to become a housewife?
That's right. Now stop asking me questions to the obvious.
By the way, have you talked with Robin himself about how you view me working this job?
I don't have to go and talk with him about it because he already knows. That young man came from a house where his mother was a housewife and took care of the home, so he knows exactly what I want out of his wife, and he expects you to become that way. Right now, he should be thinking about all the things he could be having you do for him as his housewife. I'm sure of that.
You think so? Well, no matter what else you have to say to me, I'm going to have a word with Robin before making any decisions. Please allow me some time to talk with him.
Hannah? I just finished up work and I'm on the bus home.
I hope you had a good day today, Robin.
Hey, listen, did you really have a conversation with my mom today about quitting your job?
What?
When I had a look at my phone after work, I saw that my mom had texted me saying that she spoke to you about it.
Wait. We did talk about it, but it was a one-sided conversation with her just telling me over and over to quit my job. I was trying to get her to understand that you and I both agreed to work, but she just wouldn't have it. So in the end, I said to her that I'd have to speak with you before making any final decisions.
What the heck? So that's what happened there. She was making it seem as though you were going to quit your job and there was no changing your mind about it. And that led me to wondering about what had happened that made you change your mind about everything so suddenly.
Sorry if this got you all worked up in any way. I had started to talk with your mom while I was on break at work, but I couldn't speak with her for very long because it was towards the end of my break. So I was going to have a word with you at home first and then get back in touch again with her to talk.
But why did my mom end up sending me this text making it sound as though you're going to quit?
Because your mom seems to think that you want the same thing as her, that being me quitting my job and becoming your housewife.
What?
When she said that to me, I told her that I'd have to talk with you first before deciding what to do next. She must be expecting you to think the same thing as her and say no to me working a job any longer, and that's why she made it seem as though I already was going to quit. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. But I can't believe this. Can you show me those texts from her later on? If it seems things aren't going to get any better, I'm going to have to get my dad involved and have him take care of my mom.
Do you feel as though your mom is more serious about this than I thought?
That depends on what she's said to you. If I have the chance, I want my dad to take a look at those texts from her as well.
Your dad as well?
Recently, my dad has seemed pretty worried about something. I still haven't really talked with him about anything, but the last time I was over at my parents' house, he had this expression on his face like he had something he wanted to tell me.
I see. I'll have all these messages from her printed out so that you can take them over to your dad.
Thank you, Hannah. That would help me out a lot. Hannah? I had a talk with my dad.
Hey, Robin. How did that talk go?
This is what my dad had to say about the whole you and I both working jobs while being husband and wife thing. He says that the only reason why my mom would be so against it is because when she married my dad, she was very young and never had a chance to start working. She kind of forced his hand in letting her become a housewife, but that was only possible because he received a promotion around that time and made decent money. Had my dad been closer to my mom's age when getting married, she most definitely would have been working a job as well.
Now that you mention it, your mom never really worked anywhere before she became a housewife, right?
That's what it sounds like. I've even heard that she never worked a part-time job before.
I see. I have something to say, by the way. I'm not saying I want to quit my job or anything, but I've thought of something.
And that is?
It's about how I work from here on out.
You're bringing back up what you and I talked about a while back.
So you remember that then?
Well, of course I do. I think what you have in mind is totally fine. Things have only become more stable since then, and since that's something you've always had on your mind, I think this is the perfect time for it.
Thank you, Robin.
Anyway, my dad thinks Mom is very serious about having you quit your job and become a housewife. When I get home later, we can talk more about that in detail. I'll make sure to be home when you get home from work.
All right, sounds good.
Hannah, have you still not quit your job yet?
What?
This is about what we had talked about 2 weeks ago. Didn't you say you were going to talk with Robin about it? He thinks the exact same thing as I do on this subject, and that means he should have told you that if you don't quit your job soon, he's going to divorce you.
You really think so? Well, I wouldn't want to be divorced, so I'm going to go ahead and quit my company job.
Good. Oh, thank you for going ahead and doing that. And from now on, don't you ever go against my word again.
But consider this the end of your monthly allowance from us.
What? What are you talking about? What allowance?
Mom, allow me to explain this monthly allowance that had just been brought up to you.
Robin, tell me right now what Hannah was talking about.
A little while ago, I was talking with Dad when he told me that things were not going too well at your guys' house, and he asked for our help. So, myself and Hannah decided that starting this month, we'd be sending him $700 a month in order to help out with your guys' financial situation there.
I never heard about any of that.
Dad told me he talked with you about it, but you kept dozing off and acting like he wasn't being serious.
But why? Why would he need...
Because you and all your terrible spending habits have been destroying all the money Dad has worked tirelessly to save up.
What?
Dad had said that his package from the company he'd been with was pretty large, and that he also would be getting retirement funds every year thereafter. And yes, I understand that he was making a decent living in that company, and at the time he was working, he could afford to deal with your spending. But now that he's retired, there isn't that constant flow of money anymore, and all he has are his savings and his retirement. Yet you never listened to him when he spoke to you about cutting back on spending all his money, and now things have gotten worse. Dad had come to us with great shame because he felt embarrassed to be asking his son and his son's wife for financial help.
But he should still have a lot of other money in his retirement funds.
And that was all money he wanted to keep around until you guys both became really old and needed the money for medical bills and such. But ever since he retired from his job, he's watched as that money slowly started to drain away at your hands.
What?
Dad had showed me all of his accounts and the transaction history for all of them. And from what I could tell, the credit card transactions were quite frequent and taking more out of his accounts than he had. When you think about the kind of money one would want as they're in the later stages of their life, what remains in there is too small of an amount.
Oh, there's no way.
To be honest, I think Dad has been too kind to you. If he'd really wanted to stop you from spending all that money, he could have shut off all your credit cards or asked the bank to change his PIN number. There were plenty of things he could have done to stop you, but he didn't do anything and had to come out to his son and son's wife to ask for help. That's why I went ahead and told him. I went ahead and told him that he needed to get a grip on his wife because there should be no reason you're telling my wife not to work a job when it's her job that's giving you guys money. With just my income alone, Hannah and I would be living on the edge, just barely having enough to play with. But if I had to start sending you guys $700 as well, I wouldn't be able to support myself and Hannah anymore. And I'm not kidding when I say that either, because we wouldn't only not be able to save any money on my income then, but we literally would not be able to buy food or pay all the house's bills. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mom? Because I had to go and tell Dad that already.
What?
When I said that to him, he was shocked. He had no idea that you were trying to get Hannah to quit her job that badly. Then I went and showed him all the messages you were sending to Hannah a while back.
What? You went and showed him all those messages?
Yes, and even the messages you were sending her just a second ago.
Wait, does that mean he's with you right now?
Yup. And now that he's seen so much of what you've done, he's finally come around to understanding just how badly he's spoiled you. And that's why he's telling me right now that we don't have to send an allowance after all.
What?
Therefore, if you don't stop those bad spending habits of yours, there will be hell to pay. And Dad most definitely will not be helping you there.
Hell to pay?
You should understand more than anyone what I mean by that. All I have left to say is that you'd better start thinking about a way to stop those bad habits of yours, or else...
My bad habits?
That's right. I don't want you whining to Hannah or myself later about her not leaving her job like you'd been asking. So I'll let you know this now. Hannah really has gone and quit her company job.
What?
But that doesn't mean she'll be coming home to be my housewife. Hannah had been trying to run her own side hustle for a while now, but wasn't making a whole lot of money off it, and so she had to keep with her company job. But since it's been a while now and she's saved up a lot of money from her company job, she can now leave that job and work full-time doing the side hustle.
She had a side hustle? How much is she making now?
Ever since she started to go big with that side hustle, she's been making more than me.
What was that? She's making more than her own husband.
Are you aware now why her and I decided that we'd both continue to work even after getting married?
Are you really okay with her making more than you? Do you know what others will start to say about you when they hear that you have to have your wife working as well and making more than you to live?
I'm not sure where you've been getting your news from, Mom, but in this day and age, it's normal for married couples to both be working. I think you should be ridiculed more than anything else for saying something like that.
But...
Dad is getting ready to head back home now. You'd better be all ears for what he has to say.
Robin, your father's gone and divorced me.
Right. I heard about that already. He yelled at you saying he'd had enough, right? And I thought you had finally learned your lesson a couple of days ago. You bought 3 neckties online, each costing $1,000?
Yeah, that's right. I was told to fix my bad spending habits, right? So I thought about them for a bit, and that's when I thought to myself, what you all meant is for me to spend a little bit more on your father from now on. So I was thinking something useful, like a necktie.
Something useful like a necktie? Aren't you aware that Dad is retired now and won't really be using things like neckties anymore? Jesus Christ, Mom. That wasn't even what Dad and I meant when we told you to rethink your spending habits.
What? That wasn't what you both meant?
I have no idea what to do with you anymore.
Then what did you both mean?
Dad wanted you to think of all that by yourself with the hopes you'd figure it out. So I'm not going to give you the answer.
Robin!
The divorce has already happened, right? Well then, this is the perfect time for us to cut ties as well.
Why would you want that?
Because I want to protect my wife.
Why do you think I'd be of any danger to her?
There have already been plenty of reasons as to why, so stop asking.
What are you talking about, Robin?
Just think about it. Anyway, goodbye forever.
Robin!
My father-in-law took all the credit cards he had given Sandy away from her and was going to watch and see if that helped with her poor spending habits. However, just 2 days after doing so, 3 neckties arrived in the mail that she had ordered online with his saved credit card information. She had all of those credit cards saved to her phone and on all of those online stores and could access them at any time. Realizing that there was really no helping the woman, he went and had her sign the divorce papers before taking them to the courthouse all in the same day. He made sure to contact a moving company to get all of his things from the house and is now living with Robin and I at our place. He told us that he'd have the house sold soon and would use that money, along with whatever he had left in his savings, to move someplace else. But neither Robin or I want him living on his own, so we've told him to sell the house and use the money on things he wants while staying with us. And by the way, when I say that he came to live in our house, he did so without ever telling Sandy anything about what he was doing or where he was going. And so when Sandy tried to go and find him, she was not able to find her answer of where he had moved to. We all still feared that at some point she'd learn his whereabouts, and so we called Sandy's little brother, told him about what all had happened, and the next day he was at her house taking her away to go work for his company. Right now we've been told that she's working a 9 to 5 at her little brother's call center and living at home with him and his wife while crying and whining all the time. She is planning on moving out of there soon, and when that happens, I think even her brother will cut ties to her, putting an end to her reign of terror within our families. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe.